Welcome back to South Africa Tonight. Government is arguing that Afriforum's court bid against a 50 million rand donation to Cuba is premature. Various civil society organizations and South Africans have expressed outrage at the planned aid, given the socio-economic need locally. Now, Afriforum went to court in a move to stop the donations. Lindelo Masikane is following the story for us. She joins us now live. Cecily, let's start with the context in which this money is actually being donated to Cuba.
Shahan, I don't think it's any secret the ties between the two countries, the bilateral relations. We know that the relationship between Cuba and South Africa is not only historical but political as well. Not only that, but South Africa is Cuba's biggest trade partner. What we understand is that DIRCO says that it was approached by the country last year sometime for some relief, for some aid in a form of a donation, and saying that citing that the country was going through some socioeconomic troubles in terms of shortages when it comes to electricity, food, as well as fuel supplies. Now, recently, there was an announcement by DIRCO saying that, in fact, they will be donating 50 million rand to the country through its fund, which is called the African Renaissance and International Cooperation Fund, which is within the department and has those funds specifically allocated to be giving relief to not only African countries, but other countries as well. And so the question that's been raised recently or of late by civil society organizations is, why can't that money be used locally? Why can't it go to, trying to eradicate the inequality within the country itself? However, like any other department, DIRCO has a budget. This particular fund has a budget which is allocated specifically for this kind of use. But let's just take a listen to what one of the state advocates had to say in court today.
If it is for humanitarian aid, the receiving country cannot use that amount for other purposes except humanitarian aid. It can't decide to go buy military hardware. So the terms and the basis for the agreement must exist to conclude the agreement. So we submit that the interpretation that the applicants seek to attach is placing their cart before the horse. And that is inconsistent with the scheme of the Act.
And the judge raising some questions about the merits of this case brought by Afriforum.
I mean, if you've heard in the bite, the advocate was saying that Afriforum is kind of just jumping the gun a bit when it comes to this, because what has been announced is that the donation has been approved, but the processes are still underway in terms of actually finalizing the agreements to how this money is going to be dispensed. But also, the money hasn't left South African shores either. So the judge was raising a lot of questions around whether Afriforum really has a case here or whether they've just jumped the gun just a bit too soon. But let's just take a listen to what she had to say.
Irrespective, I mean, 50 million is a lot of money, and you're quite, Afriforum is right. South Africa is desperate for 50 million. But the question is not that. The question is, has Afriforum on these papers made out a case? And I must tell you, I'm concerned that they haven't.
So tell us what relief Afriforum is actually seeking from the court then.
So this application was brought on an urgent basis, and what they're looking for is an interdict to prevent the department from donating this money. And if it is granted, then they're also looking to actually have an application to then have the decision to approve the donation reversed. At this point, the judge said that she needs some time to mull over the documents as well as the presentations, and has reserved judgment. But let's take a listen to what the Afriforum advocate had to say.
Grouping of South Africans are affected by this decision. We know that public funds don't just come from the sky. Someone has to pay it in the form of taxes. And also these individuals, including members of the applicant, are also on the receiving end. So quite obviously a large grouping of individuals are affected.
All right, we're going to leave it right there. Slindelo Masikane following that story for us.